nothing but the truth. Hello, I'm Raj Chengappa from India Today and your host for Nothing But the Truth. Every week, we will deal with key issues of concern and bring you perspectives and clarity as to why these matter to you and the one clear truth that emerges. On October 2nd, the birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar detonated a political bomb. He made public the results of the first caste-based census done in Bihar. The caste survey showed that the OBCs, or the other backward classes, including the extreme backward classes or EBCs, constituted 63% of the total population. Now, this is a significant increase over the last national caste census done in 1931, that is over 90 years ago. Though it is not comparable, it was estimated then that the OBCs and EBCs were around 52% of the population, not just in Bihar, but across the country. So the recent findings in Bihar shows that there is a 13% jump over the previous figure that was assumed. The Bihar census also revealed that scheduled castes and tribes together constituted 21.3%. That was expected. Also that forward castes make up the remaining 15.5%. Why was the Bihar survey so explosive? Because both central and state government jobs as well as educational institutions have a certain percentage reserved for backward classes, scheduled castes and tribes. The Bihar caste census findings is certain to strengthen the demand for an increase in the quota for backward classes. To understand why that is significant, let's go into a bit of history. In 1980, the Mandal Commission submitted its report on the issue of affirmative action for the other backward classes. Now, this was based on the census finding of 1931, and the Commission recommended that the OBCs be given 27% reservation in government jobs and educational institutions. Prior to the Mandal Commission report, there were already reservations for the scheduled castes or SCs amounting to around 15%, and the scheduled tribes or STs got 7.5%. So together, these two categories, that's the SC and the ST, amounted to 22.5% of the reservation. With the Mandal Commission recommending 27% reservations for OBC, the total reservation for government jobs and seats in educational institutions, including that for SC and STs, went up to or shot up to 49.5%. In 1990, the then Prime Minister VP Singh kicked off a major political storm when he decided to implement the Mandal Commission report, and the OBC reservations came into force. Mind you, as I mentioned, that was 27.5%, along with the 22.5% that the Supreme Court, it went up to 49.5% at this stage. This did create a huge heartburn among the other castes who felt that jobs and seats should be given solely based on merit. One other development is important to note. In 1992, the Supreme Court upheld such caste-based reservations, but importantly, put a cap of 50% on such quotas and mandated that this could not be exceeded. It also simultaneously denied reservation in promotions. So what this meant was that this 49.5% became the cap. There could be no extra reservations that could happen after that. And many states did try and the center did try, but these were struck down by the Supreme Court. Now, the Bihar caste survey's finding that OBCs numbered 63% of the population and not just 52% as was earlier stated, has serious implications for the current reservation system. The percentage of OBCs in other states, barring a few, is likely to be the same if similar surveys were done like what Bihar did. For a while now, the OBC communities across the country had been periodically agitating for a greater share of reservations. They had argued that their share of 27% in reservations was far, far less than what they should be entitled to. Now, the Bihar survey will set the cat among the pigeons. It will strengthen their demand, the OBC demand for more reservation, and already the opposition parties, particularly the India Alliance, led by the Congress Party, is demanding a national census for castes. In many states, ruling parties, whether it's in Odisha, Karnataka, and others, have even gone ahead or have already commissioned and have such surveys been done, but they have not been released. For the ruling BJP, this development has a significant political implication and impact. Before the Bihar census results were released, opinion polls, including that of India Today, showed Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP were headed for a third successive term, including a majority in the general election due in May 2024. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, had bolstered that support with a hugely successful G20 summit, and also by passing a law in the new parliament building recently, affirming that women would have reservations up to 33% in the Lok Sabha and State Assembly polls. Now, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has hit the political equivalent of a six in cricket by releasing the survey findings, and this threatens to steal Modi's thunder. With this bombshell, Nitish Kumar hopes to emerge as the messiah of the OBCs. For the India Alliance, that's the opposition alliance, the demand for higher reservations for OBCs gives them a very solid electoral plank to take on the BJP and Prime Minister Modi. Especially because over the past decade, the BJP and Modi had tried co-opting the OBCs into the larger Hindutva agenda in an effort to create what is called a united Hindu vote. So essentially what the BJP was trying to do was to disturb the caste kind of consensus that had developed after the Mandal Commission and would try to unite the Hindu vote. The opposition hopes now that the demand for a national caste census will lay the foundation for the second phase of Mandal politics. It would enable them, the opposition, to challenge what is known as the BJP's politics of Kamandal. Now, Kamandal is the sacred Hindu water pot, and Kamandal was seen as BJP's counter to Mandal politics, and the party had actively worked to subsume caste identity under a broader Hindutva narrative in the past 2 decades. That is why the opposition parties are calling the Bihar caste findings Mandal 2.0, as it is likely to send national politics into turbulence, as it did when VP Singh endorsed the Mandal Commission report in 1990. At stake, and this is very important, will be more than 9 million government jobs at the central and state levels. And mind you, with unemployment being quite high, this will have an impact. And not to mention admissions in educational institutes, including 2.3 million seats in engineering colleges and over 100,000 seats in medical institutions. With the second round of Mandal versus Kamandal breaking out, as it is called, it is truly game on between the NDA-led BJP and the India Alliance for the 2024 general election. Yet, and let's be clear, it is not going to be easy for the opposition to cause the kind of disruption that Mandal 1.0 did. Just to recollect, the first Mandal movement resulted in the decimation of the Congress and the rise of regional parties such as the Samajwadi Party and the Bahujan Samaj Party in Uttar Pradesh and the Rashtriya Janata Dal and the Janata Dal United in Bihar. The opposition now hopes that Mandal 2.0 will do the same to the BJP, but they certainly will face a tough task. That's because, and the BJP has been very smart in its strategy, the BJP has over the years eroded the popularity of these regional caste-based formations by wooing the OBCs directly. The BJP made them central to the numerous government welfare schemes which brought the party rich electoral dividends, particularly during Modi's reign at the center. Now, according to a 2019 study by the Center for the Study of Developing Societies, the percentage of OBCs voting for the BJP, and this is important, doubled from 22% in 2009 to 44% in 2019. That was the kind of inroads that the BJP made into the OBC votes. Now, the BJP has also been very careful to maintain a significant representation of OBC leaders in terms of both seats in government as well as in party posts. Just to give you a little example of that kind of concern that they've showed, the party accounts for 68% of the total OBC MPs in the Lok Sabha, while 38% of its total MPs are from the OBC communities. Even in the Modi government, the 77-member Modi ministry has 27 OBC ministers. Now let's look at the BJP strategy and the implications for it. For the BJP, a caste census does not really benefit it because it has serious implications, as there are more than a dozen states with massive OBC populations. Among them are the 4 states that are going to the polls in the next 2 months, and these are Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Telangana. There are also huge OBC populations in other electorally significant states like Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, Karnataka, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Jharkhand, and Haryana. Together, these states account for 374 of the 543 seats in the Lok Sabha and could determine the outcome of the 2024 general election. The opposition is certain to up the ante to consolidate the OBC votes by promising greater reservation for them. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi had already taken this up as a major poll strategy, and at a recent rally pledged, Jitni Abadi Utne Hak, which roughly translated means greater the population, greater the rights. This, mind you, is somewhat of a U-turn for the Congress, as it had not been in favor of caste enumeration in the past. In fact, India's first Prime Minister, Nehru, opposed the idea in 1951. Then Indira Gandhi put the report of the Mandal Commission on the back burner when she was Prime Minister, even though it was submitted in 1980, and she was in power, if you recall, from 1980 to 1984. Rajiv Gandhi took over, and even he ignored it when he was Prime Minister. And when VP Singh, who succeeded Rajiv Gandhi, implemented the OBC reservations given by the Mandal Commission, Rajiv Gandhi, in fact, termed it as an attempt to divide the country along caste lines. Now remember that, because I'll come to that when Prime Minister Modi now talks of the reservation policy almost in similar terms. But before that, when the Congress headed the UPA, because we are talking of how the Congress has been looking at reservations, they began to do a bit of a turn at that point. When they ruled the UPA from 2004 to 2014, the Congress changed its strategy. Just to give you an example, in 2006, the Manmohan Singh government announced 27% reservation for OBCs in admission to central education institutions. Then in 2011, the UPA government conducted a nationwide socio-economic and caste census to identify the beneficiaries of the various government schemes. Now that was ostensible, but that census would have determined what would be the kind of caste, the size of caste populations nationally. But these findings were not made public. For whatever reason that is there were sensitive information that was out, which I believe that the Congress didn't want to do it. And of course, the BJP is going to take them up for it. But right now, the Congress party is clamoring to make the report public and has also called for a national caste census. Now, of course, the BJP is going all out to counter the OBC bombshell unleashed by Nitish Kumar. Prime Minister Modi, at a political rally, described the opposition efforts as an attempt to create a divide among Hindus. Now, recall that Rajiv Gandhi had used the same words at that time, and of course, now the Congress is on the other side of the table. Taking a dig at Rahul Gandhi's slogan, Prime Minister Modi said at the rally, and I'm quoting him, "Their leader claims rights should be proportional to population. I say the biggest population is the poor. For me, the poor people have the biggest population, and my mission is their welfare." He made it very clear that his focus was going to be on the poor rather than just look at caste divisions. But the Prime Minister has other strategies as well, and one of them is Prime Minister Modi is banking on OBC support for his effective delivery of the socio-economic schemes that he had launched during his 9-year rule at the center. He's now in his 10th year. The BJP has in fact also wooed the OBCs with other incentives, just like the Congress did. In July 2021, the Modi government announced a 27% reservation for OBC students in medical and dental courses under the All India quota. Then they raised the income limit for the creamy layer among the OBCs, and that was revised from rupees 6 lakh to rupees 8 lakh, which meant that if you had an income below rupees 8 lakh, you would be eligible for reservations, unlike earlier, which was rupees 6 lakhs. BJP itself, as did the Congress, has made several U-turns on the subject of OBC caste-based reservations. RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat in 2015 had created a storm when he called for a social review of the reservation policy. But recently, even he has changed his approach and said that the organization supports reservations, and I'm putting it in quotes, as provided in the Constitution. There is also speculation that the Modi government may offer sub-categorization of the 27% OBC reservations, which is what the Rohini Commission that the BJP had formed has recommended. The object of such sub-categorization is to ensure that reservation benefits are not restricted to only certain numerically strong caste under the OBC umbrella, and the allegation is that the Yadavs, both in Uttar Pradesh and in Bihar, have actually captured a large amount of the reservations to the detriment of the smaller OBC communities. According to the reports that have come out, the Commission has suggested 3 to 4 sub-categorizations within the OBC quota to set right such imbalances, which means that if the OBC quota is 27%, the Yadavs will be given, say, I'm just for example, say 15%, the other OBC communities will be given a proportionate share across that. But many in the BJP fear that cutting up the OBC quota could alienate the dominant OBC caste, which is already substantial sections of them are already voting for the BJP. So it is a kind of a catch-22 situation. But what goes for the BJP, and as Gaurav Bhatia, the spokesperson of the BJP, told India Today, the biggest thing in the BJP's favor could be that Prime Minister Modi himself belongs to an OBC caste in Gujarat. Now, that is a sterling example which the Congress and the other parties would find it difficult to pull down. And also the fact that in the current ministry, the OBC ministers of the BJP, the Modi ministry, is quite substantial, as is its representation in the parliament. This is to counter Rahul Gandhi's allegations that out of the total number of secretaries in government, he had said that in parliament, there's barely 1 or 2% who belong to the OBC class. Well, that is an argument that is going on, but for the opposition, there are still several logjams that they will find difficult to navigate in the months ahead if they have to push the OBC reservations as a major plank. No government can increase the share of OBC reservations due to the Supreme Court's 1992 judgment to cap such reservations at 50%, which I mentioned earlier. Governments had tried, mind you, they have not succeeded because the Supreme Court has always struck it down. Almost all opposition parties now have demanded that this cap be removed through parliamentary intervention. But given the long lead time for anything of this to happen, it could well end up, this whole reservation cry and the drama that is being played out could end up becoming a jumla like the Women's Reservation Bill. And if you recall, that is to be implemented sometime in the future, certainly not in 2024. The government said let the delimitation happen and the census happen before they implement the Women's Reservation Bill. In the case of the reservations, if they have to make changes in the law, that would require full parliamentary consent, and that would take time, and therefore the accusation that this is just another jumla. But of course, this is certainly not just going to end with that. There's going to be serious issues in the next couple of months, and certainly the opposition will make the most of it. Psephologist Pradeep Gupta, though, has a warning for the opposition, and he told India Today, and I'm quoting him, history says that any party starting from VP Singh's Janata Dal, which has initiated big-ticket reservations for any community, has lost the next election. If you recall, VP Singh was not re-elected, and therefore his theory is that even if Bihar Chief Minister pushes for reservations this time, it may not be electorally beneficial to him. That, of course, it is not clear whether history would repeat itself. The BJP would like it to see the Congress and the Nitish Kumar combine the India alliance be decimated, but we don't know whether this is possible or not. That only time will tell. But what is clear is that the OBC conundrum has always impacted the country's socio-political landscape and its fabric. Caste injustice remains widely prevalent. Countering it requires not just raising awareness, but also creating the socio-economic conditions to ensure that all castes have a level playing field, and those that didn't do can have affirmative action, but it should be time-bound, just as the law for quota of seats for women in legislatures and in the Lok Sabha, where it is envisaged that it would end in a 15-year period, or at least be reviewed after a 15-year period. That is most important, that this is not seen as something that is going to be permanent. Of course, politically, it becomes highly sensitive for any government to remove it, but if enlightened governments come into place, this could be the way out of it. Unfortunately, Mandal 2.0 is likely to result in a fresh wave of vote bank politics that could prove more disruptive than productive. The parties have to prove otherwise. So for more details, you could read the latest issue of India Today that carries an in-depth cover story on the subject with detailed graphs and figures. Thank you for listening to this episode of Nothing But the Truth. I look forward to having you with me next week. Nothing but the truth.